Haven't tried the Locklicious all-natural hair care product line? Well, let's hear what the Lock community has to say about it.
I love how it sprays and how it feels, you guys. Like, it feels so good. And it smells amazing, you guys.
The Lock and Twist moisturizer was really good for me. The hydration mist was phenomenal.
This is the bomb, baby. I was really impressed, kind of blown away, and I think that if you're struggling, definitely go check them out.
And check out the 5-star reviews on our website. So, what are you waiting for? Go to locklicious.com to start treating your crown like royalty.
All right. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Peace to everybody in the building. Salute, shalom. We got another banger one for you. Today's lecture series is entitled Hebrewisms of West Africa, Part 5, the Ashanti Jews, or in Hebrew, the Ashanti Yehudim. Thumb up the video, family, and share it live. This is another banger. Shout out to all the moderators in the building. Let me see who we got in the building. I see Cam, Ibed, Yisrael, King Rock, Ashanti Black, peace, shalom, Aziel Bell, my brother. All right, EJ Mitchell, I see you. Moreh Dania, K Israel, Malak Kazak, shalom, Yasan. All right, we in the building. Gabriel, my brother. All right, with that being said, y'all, we going in. It's that season. We want to let the people know that we have scholarship when it comes to acknowledging who we are. We have scholarship that agrees with our sentiment. We're not saying that we are Jews because this is our belief. We're saying and knowing that we are Hebrews, that we are Israelites, that we are Jews because we can prove it as well. That's a very important statement to make. It's a very impactful statement to be aware of as well. Just as a reminder, as everybody's coming in the building, family, thumb up the video and share the live. This is definitely going to be another one for the books. We're talking about today the Ashanti Jews. I'm going to go right into it. I'm not even going to hold you. So here we go. All right, when you guys can see my screen, I'm going to go all the way in. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen. Let me see if this is better. Let me blow it up a little bit so it's nice and big. We want to make sure everybody can see this whole screen. So let me make sure it's nice and big so everybody can see the screen. All right. Now, the Jews of Ashanti, or the Ashanti Yehudim, is a very impactful story to take in. If I could share with you some of the words here. The term Ashanti represents the predominant tribe in Ghana of West Africa, formerly known as the Gold Coast, is predominantly believed to have come from North Africa, and many fingers even point to Egypt or Assyria. And that's very important to note in terms of the origin story of the Ashanti. The origin story of the Ashanti is that they may come from North Africa, possibly even Egypt or Assyria, which would then give credence to the Israelite sentiment that through exile and forced migration, the Jews that were expelled from the land of Canaan in 70 AD eventually make their way along the Nile Valley, and they come into the West Coast, North Africa, and they settle finally in huge pockets of West Africa. It's a very, very important point to establish and to lay out. So again, it's a very, very important point to establish and to set forth. So the Ashanti, again, the predominant tribe in Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast, is predominantly believed to have come from North Africa, and many fingers point to Egypt or Assyria. It has been pointed out by the first white men that came to Ghana and met the Ashanti. They noted the Egyptian-like architecture and design just as equally as some of these so-called Egyptian and or Assyrian traits could also point to a Hebraic origin. So the style of their architecture echoed that of ancient Kemet or that of ancient Egypt, but it also echoed that of the biblical Hebrews and even carried what is called Assyrian traits. For Israel was captive in both places and left an indelible mark on both, as well as a little Egyptian and Assyrian influence rubbed off somewhat on Israel. Also noted by such men was the Semitic or Arabic appearance, facial features of the Ashanti, as well as the reddish hue to their brown skin, which is also an Igbo trait, which is akin to Adam, whose name means red earth, and David, who is said to have been ruddy, a reddish complexion, and both of which are dark complexion to boot. And let me just give some background to that. When the Bible speaks of Adam, the first man, right? The Bible speaks of Adam. Most of us who understand a little bit of Hebrew, our understanding is that the reason why the Bible calls Adam Adam is because Adam comes from what is called the Adamah, the earth. The word for earth in Hebrew, one of the words for earth is Adama, soil, Adama. But there's another meaning to the Hebrew word for earth, which is very seldomly discussed. Usually people who are very immersed in the language touch on this. The ultimate meaning of Adam's name actually has nothing to do with the soil. And I know for a lot of Israelites that's going to be controversial, but allow me to explain to you what I mean. People who take my Hebrew classes have been hearing me say this for years, but I'm going to drop this gem and share with you guys on YouTube today. When we talk about Adam as being created from the Adama, what we're essentially saying is his skin, our flesh, the material body, sure, that comes from the Adama. And in that sense, man is called Adam. Absolutely. No questions asked, no debate about that. But one thing we should know as Israelites, as Hebrews, that we should be positive and acknowledging is that the material flesh is not the end all of the human person, the human being. We are much more than the material body. In fact, we speak of the spiritual dimension of man, which far pervades the physical. So the material body says nothing about the spiritual makeup within a human being. And it is the spiritual makeup of Adam that really yields the deeper meaning behind his name. So the word Adama means soil, and that is a representation of man's material body being formed from the dust of the earth or from the clay, right? However, the word Adome in Hebrew means to resemble. In biblical Hebrew, there's a word called Adome, spelled Aleph, Dalet, the vowel Cholam, Mem, and He, and it's pronounced Adome. The first part, Dome, means to resemble. The first letter in that word is the letter Aleph, which is the God letter. You'll notice that the letter Aleph is used as a prefix in most of the divine names that appear for the Creator in the Bible. El, Elohim, Eloha, Elah, Adonai, El Elyon, El Shaddai. Most of the divine epithets, most of the divine attributes, most of the divine names of the Bible, 98% of them have the letter Aleph in the first place as the prefix. And what we say in biblical Hebrew is that the first letter of any given Hebrew name is as the foundation stone to that word's meaning. I'm going to say that again. The first letter in any Hebrew word is the foundation stone, or represents the foundation of that word's overall meaning. Every single letter in the Hebrew alphabet is endowed with character, is endowed with meaning. So when you take the letter Aleph, which in the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 4 is a direct reference to the Creator. In the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 4, the prophet Jeremiah, speaking of the Creator, he says, You are the aloof of my youth. The aloof of my youth. Where the term aloof means a master teacher or a master guide. And it's a direct reference to the Creator Himself. And the word that's used is aloof. So again, the letter Aleph is what we call the God letter in Hebrew. It represents the Creator. Also, if I could just share my screen and do this for you really quick, I'm going to take y'all somewhere really quick. Give me a couple seconds. This is on the fly right now, but that's what we do. We teach, so we could teach on the fly. Let me show you something about the Creator's name and how powerful it is. If I were to take the Creator's name, as you're going to see in a couple of moments, watch what's going to happen. Okay. You guys should see my new screen in a couple seconds. Don't forget, family, thumb up the video and share the live. Thumb up the video and share the live as we're about to go in. All right, here we go. All right, this is the Creator's name in biblical Hebrew. This is the Creator's name in biblical Hebrew, right? You literally could see the letter Aleph right here, or where the hell is my finger? You literally could see the letter Aleph right there, right? Okay. So in looking at the letter Aleph, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that, I want you guys to look at my pointer on the screen. The upper right corner of the letter Aleph is an actual letter. That's the letter Yod. At the bottom left corner of the letter Aleph is another letter. That's the letter Yod. Smack in the middle is the Hebrew letter Wav. So the letter Aleph in Hebrew is actually composed of 3 letters. 2 letters repeated, which is the letter Yod, and then the letter Wav. So the letter Aleph itself contains the letter Yod in its upper right corner, the letter Yod in its bottom left corner, and then the letter Wav oscillating in the middle. What's highly significant about that is you should know that Hebrew letters are also numbers. So the letter Yod is the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, so that's the number 10. And there are 2 of them in the letter Aleph. Then you have the letter Wav, which is 6. So 10 and 10 is 20, plus Wav is 26. That is the numerical value of what we describe and call the tetragrammaton in biblical Hebrew. Yod, He, Waw, He. The tetragrammaton in biblical Hebrew is the most sacred name of the Creator mentioned in all of the entire Bible. It's spelled in Hebrew, Yod, He, Waw, He. Yod has a numerical value of 10. He has a numerical value of 5. Waw has a numerical value of 6. And He has a numerical value of 5. You add 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, you have 26. So the letter Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, in its numerical form is equal to the most sacred name of the Creator throughout the entire Bible, the tetragrammaton. And it's in that respect that we refer to the letter Aleph as the God letter, all right, as the God letter. So just keep that in mind. That's a highly significant point to make. So in going back to the term Adam for a moment, right, because I definitely want to still just address that term. And going back to the term Adam, give me a second. Let me just switch back my screen. Okay. And going back to the term Adam for a second, we said that man's name, Adam or Adam, there's a part of it that represents his physical body, right? The flesh, the Adama, the fact that the body is composed of the earth. All of the minerals that are found in the earth are found in the human body. That's the material flesh. But a human being is far more pervasive and complex than material body and material flesh. The thing that makes us who we are is our spirit, not the flesh. The flesh fades away like grass and is returned back to a natural resource that's consumed in an ever-pervading system that oscillates eternally. But the thing that constitutes the divine nature of man And the true essence of man is man's spirit. So then there's a word called Adome in biblical Hebrew, where dome means to resemble, and then you have the letter Aleph prefixed to it. So Adome means to resemble God. So man in his highest fashion, in his highest form, intellectually, man, the name man literally represents to resemble God, or to, i.e., emulate the creator. And that is the meaning of the name Adam. The name Adam in Hebrew literally means to emulate the creator. That is the job of all of humanity. That is why the word Adam in biblical Hebrew is also used to reference all of humanity. It is all of humanity's job to emulate the Holy One, the Divine One, the creator of the whole world. Hallelujah. So with that being said, let's continue reading from this article and let's have some fun. Let's talk about the Ashanti Yehudim. Israel was captive in both places, Egypt and Assyria, and left an indelible mark on both, as well as a little Egyptian and Assyrian influence rubbed off somewhat on Israel. Also noted by such men was the Semitic or Arabic appearance of the Ashanti, as well as the reddish hue to their brown skin, which is also an Igbo trait, which is akin to Adam, whose name means red earth, and David, who was said to have a ruddy complexion, and both of which were of a dark complexion to boot. I have already established in my early works regarding the Igbo, which I have linked to Gad and other Israeli tribes, that the first Hebrews and Jews were of a dark/reddish complexion. And by red, of course, you know we mean the color brown. Brown. Some believe and have voiced that the Ashanti may be related to the Yoruba. And if so, no wonder they have things in common with the Igbo, because the father of the Yoruba people was a traveling companion to Eri, the father of the Igbo people. Both the Igbo and the Ashanti holy men cover themselves in white chalk. African tribal names usually mean the people of. The people of. Let me just do this really quick so you guys could follow the reading. There we go. All right. All right. African tribal names usually mean the people of. The name Ashanti may come from the Hebrew word Ashan, meaning smoke, which is usually used in the context of the destruction of a city and may hint of the destruction of Israel by the Babylonian or Assyrian exiles, or even the Roman ransacking of Israel. There was indeed even a town in Judea called Ashan in the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 6:59, also corresponding to its mention in the book of Joshua chapter 21 verse 6, where the word ayin, according to the Jewish encyclopedia, may be a corruption or variant of Ashan. If this all be true, it would mean that the Ashanti may possibly predominantly be Jews from the tribe of Judah, or Levites, Simeonites, and Benjamites, who are all of the bordering tribes that lived around, near, or adjacent to the biblical city of Ashan. So the most important thing to understand is that the term Ashan literally in biblical Hebrew denotes a town in the tribal portion of Judah. Judah being one of the 12 sons of Israel, one of the 12 sons of Jacob, one of the tribal territories, one of the tribal portions in the land of Judah is a city called Ashan. Ashan is noted in biblical times to have been inhabited by not just Judites, but even you had Levites that lived in this city. So that the people from this city, who eventually through forced migration and through exile, that make their way into West Africa, that make their way into Ghana, that later on form the people known as Ashanti. The Ashan part literally represents the tribal territory that they come from, the biblical city of Ashan. The T at the end means of in Hebrew. It's possessive, it means of. So Ashanti means of Ashanti, or of the people of Ashanti, or of the city of Ashanti. which is a highly significant thing to note. I want to show you guys something that I think is equally significant. Shout out to my brother Keon Drake for your donation. Also, just reminding the entire family that's in the building, as you guys are thumbing up the video and sharing it live, do remember to support the platform by sending a donation. This is how we keep this thing going, and this is how we can come back each time greater and even better. And we can get so many lectures done, but we definitely need the support of the community. The more we have the support of the community, obviously, the more that we could do within the community. All right, let me show you something that I definitely wanted to touch on as well, which is this. Historically, we also speak of something known as the Ashanti stool. And I definitely want to take you there. The Ashanti stool is a seat of power and authority to the people of Ashan. The people who sat on these stools were mainly kings, even though historically the king, the Ashanti king, is not the only person to ever sit upon an Ashanti stool. The people who sat, or the person who sat on an Ashanti stool, was more than likely the king, but historically it was also the wisest among them. The most spiritually and intellectually gifted among them would sit on this seat, which represented the seat of power and authority over the people under God. Highly significant to point out. It represented the power over the people, but under God. Right? This is a highly significant stool. To make mention of. I could even click on this one to show you some of the beautiful art and variation and how some of these stools are represented. All right, some of the beautiful art and variation and how some of these stools are represented. Now, again, the main thing to take away is that the Ashanti stool is a symbol of power and authority. So now the question would be, since we know that the people of Ashanti have roots that connect them to the biblical Israelites, to the biblical Hebrews, to the city of Ashan within the biblical territory of Judah, we may want to ask ourselves, well, then what is the purpose of the Ashanti stool within Israelite culture and heritage? Is there any tradition within Hebrew culture, Israelite culture and heritage, that suggests that a stool or a seat had some type of power? And sure enough, there is. Watch this. Anyone who has ever been to an actual synagogue will note that inside every major synagogue is something known as Kisei Moshe. Kisei Moshe, which can be translated loosely as the seat of Moses or the throne of Moses, because the word kisei in Hebrew can either mean seat or throne. So it can loosely be translated either as the seat of Moses or as the throne of Moses. Now, for all of my messianic brothers and sisters out there in the community, this should be highly significant to you. In light of Yeshua's words, watch this. We're going to have some fun today. I wasn't going to go here, but since I'm here right now in the moment, why not? I'm going to take you out to the book of Matthew in the New Testament. We're going to go to chapter 23, and we are going to open it up first in biblical Hebrew. So we're going to the book of Matthew, chapter 23, and we're going to look at that in biblical Hebrew. And watch. All right. It's nice and big. In Matthew chapter 23, verse 2, it says, I'll start at verse 1. It reads in Aramaic. Yedaber Yeshua el Hamon Ha'am, we el Talmidao le Mor, which is translated as, then Yeshua spoke to the multitudes of the people. As Yedaber Yeshua, then Yeshua spoke, El Hamon, to the multitudes, Ha'am, of the people, We'el Talmidao, and to his students or his followers, Lemor, saying, Hasoferim, Haperushim, the scribes and the Pharisees, Hasoferim, Haperushim. And let me just highlight this for those who are following. And let me make the screen bigger. We teaching today. Thumb up the video and share the live, family. Thumb up the video and share the live, family. Not everybody can come on live and do this. Show your love. We got a lot of people that go online that teach, and respect to everybody, but we got to call a spade a spade. Not everybody coming online to do this. The proof is in the pudding. Show your respect and show your love. Here we go. Yeshua says in Matthew 23, and now we're at verse 2, Hasoferim haperushim, the scribes and the Pharisees. Yeshvim al kisei Moshe, sit upon, Yeshvim al kisei, sit upon the kisei of who? Of Moshe. The scribes and the Pharisees, Yeshvim, sit in the plural, al kisei, upon, which is al, kisei, throne or chair, Moshe. The scribes and Pharisees sit upon the seat of Moses. Then it says, Laken kol ashir yomru. Therefore, everything which they say to you, shimru wa asu, shall you keep and shall you do. And let me just highlight that whole thing and stop right here. Yeshua says in Matit Yahu, or in the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 2, he says, Hasoferim haperushim, the scribes and the Pharisees, Yeshvim al kisei, sit upon the seat, Moshe, of Moses. Then he goes on to say, Laken kol ashir Yomru, lakem shimru wa'asu. Therefore, everything that they say to you, shall you keep and shall you do. That's a highly significant statement for him to make. That's a highly significant statement to make, because there's a lot of people going around talking negatively about Pharisees because Yeshua critiqued them. Show me a man that's above critique. I'll wait. Show me a community that's above reproach or critique. I'll wait. So why do we confuse, as it were, Yeshua's critique of the Pharisees with him not having respect for what they speak on and what they teach? Because if you're paying attention within the context of his words, he just said that the Pharisees and the scribes sit in the seat of Moses. And in case you don't know what that is, let me break it down to you slow. Exhibit A. This is what's called the seat of Moses. Inside of any synagogue in the era of Yeshua till this day, there is a seat called Kisei Moshe, the seat of Moses. The only person that's allowed to sit in that seat is the most intellectually informed person when it comes to interpreting and teaching the Torah. The only person, I'm going to say this again, that is allowed to sit upon the Kisei Moshe, upon the seat of Moses in a synagogue, is the smartest person in the synagogue, who is called in Hebrew Talmid Chacham, which translates as a wise student or a student of wisdom. That title is reserved for the smartest person in the temple, the person in the temple who knows the Torah the most. If you guys are accustomed to going to the temple, which some of you do, I know that there's a lot of people that live in cities where there's no Israelite houses of learning, there's no camps, there's no temples, there's no congregation. So for the most part, you guys are learning on YouTube, and I understand that. But just so you know, there are many places of worship in the Israelite diaspora where we come out on the holy days, during the seasons and during the festivals, and we come out and we give praise, and we also teach from the Torah. Inside every temple and synagogue is a seat called Kisei Moshe, the seat of Moses. The only person that can sit in that seat is the smartest person in the congregation. Every congregation in the world, every camp in the world has somebody in that camp that knows more than everybody else. That which is that which shall be. That which has been done is that which shall be done. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing new under the sun. Every single congregation has one person that we all know knows more than the rest. I've been to enough synagogues, temples, and congregations to know that what I'm saying is the truth. There's always one person that knows more than anybody else. That person sits in what we call the Kisei Moshe, the seat of Moses, because this then becomes the person in the temple that people go to for areas of scripture which they don't understand. They come to this person for the discernment and for the insight on areas of Torah learning and biblical learning that otherwise go challenged, but people don't really have a resolution or the answer. They go to what's called the Talmid Chacham, the wise student or the student of wisdom. And let me just help some people. Every live you gotta do this. So let me just help some people. All right, so excellent. So historically, you guys can look this up. There is the seat called the seat of Moses. So when the Pharisees say, when Yeshua says in Matthew chapter 23, verse 2, that the scribes and Pharisees sit in the seat of Moses, therefore everything that they say to you must you keep and do, common sense, he's putting respect on their knowledge and their information. Otherwise, why in the hell would he be telling his followers, everything that they say shall you keep and shall you do? You know what that is? I literally don't know any Israelite at all that I could tell anybody comfortably, everything that they teach, you shall do and follow. And I know a lot of Israelites, and I have a lot of Israelites that are friends of mine, close brothers, but I don't know one Israelite that I know that I could say to anyone, follow everything that they teach and everything that they say do, follow everything that they say and everything that they tell you to do. I don't know not one. So I'm pointing out that if Yeshua is going to tell his followers that everything, he didn't say some, everything, he didn't say a little bit, everything, he didn't say most, everything. If he tells his followers that everything that the Pharisees say, shall you keep and shall you do, then guess what? He clearly is putting great respect on that which the Pharisees teach, which is why in the next verse he says, but after their doings and their ways shall you not do, because they are hypocrites. So if you got a little bit of common sense, you now have a newfound understanding of how Yeshua viewed the Pharisees. You didn't notice that when he chastised them, he called them a hypocrite? Do we not know the definition of the word hypocrite? A hypocrite, for those who don't have common sense, is not a person that doesn't possess knowledge. If a person has no knowledge, I'm going to simply call you ignorant, not a hypocrite. A hypocrite is someone who knows what's right and still chooses to do that which is wrong. Uh-oh! Israelites are so petty, man. I gotta address the comment. I try not to address comments in the chat room, but a brother wrote in the comment, not the new folly testament, bro, not fake Yeshua. This is part of the reason why the Israelite community will never achieve unity, because we are so fickle and so damn silly that we don't have enough insight and wisdom to see truth where there is truth. By the way, this same brother that's going to write in the comment section, and since he want to be famous, I'm going to put him on the Summer Jam screen. Y'all know me. I don't play favoritism. While I might be quote unquote non-messianic, I'm a true speaker first. So let me call out this brother real quick. Since you want to be famous, I'm going to make you famous. He says, not the new folly testament, bro, not fake Yeshua. But this is the same brother who's going to go on Facebook or is going to go somewhere in person and tell somebody, many are called, but few are chosen. You goddamn idiot. That statement comes right out the New Testament. Get him out of here. Throw him away. Get him out of here and throw him away. Our people are truly ignorant, and it's sad. And again, I try not to address these comments, but our people are truly ignorant, and it's getting sad at this point. Because the same brothers and sisters that's going to bang on the New Testament are saying things that are only said in the New Testament and don't even realize it, you big ass dummy. For every Old Testament Israelite that I personally know that bangs in the New Testament, they be running around saying things that you can only find in the New Testament. Many are called, but the chosen are few, Ark. Oh yeah, I don't follow that New Testament. Well, where the hell you think that came from, you big ass dummy? All right, I'm done, y'all. I'm done. I'm gonna behave again, y'all. I'm gonna behave again. But y'all know I don't play. I'm a truth speaker. I speak the truth. And if you're going to come on my platform and make a statement, God damn it, you better be on guard, because we don't play on this platform. We are equal critics. Everybody get the smoke here. This is not a safe zone. Everybody get the smoke here. Don't look at this channel and be like, oh, he's Torah only and Zion Lexx, so I could come in here and say something reckless. This is an equal smoke opportunity room. Everybody gets the business on this channel. Believe that. All right, let me go back, man. So the fact that Yeshua says, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in the seat of Moses. Therefore, everything that they say unto you, shall you keep and shall you do. That should have taught you that he's placing great respect on what the Pharisees are teaching, which is a very important point for my Messianic community, because the Pharisees teach from the oral tradition. Did y'all forget? I did say this was an equal opportunity smoke room, so everybody gonna get the smoke. So I'm even speaking to my Messianic brothers and sisters that think that the oral tradition is something that we shouldn't be following. Why would Yeshua tell his followers to follow a group of people who are responsible for giving us the oral tradition? Hello. How could the oral tradition be wrong and Yeshua tell you to follow the people who are teaching and spreading it? Everything that they teach shall you follow. That's what Yeshua said, not me. Come on. We used to sing a song in the 90s called Wake Up, Jacob. Because even in the Israelite community, you have Israelites that are still asleep, trapped in the nightmare of Christianity. All right, let me move on and let me show y'all something. So the Ashanti stool, right? The Ashanti stool could be significant for more than one reason. Because again, in Ashanti culture, and let me just bring that out real quick. In Ashanti culture, the famous Ashanti stool, as it were, and where is my, there we go. The famous Ashanti stool, as it were, was not just a place that the king of the Ashanti sat in. The most wise and intellectual, the priests among the Ashanti, even sat on the Ashanti stool. So historically, the person to sit on the Ashanti stool was not always exclusively a king. Even the priests, the spiritual and intellectual head of the Ashanti, also sat upon what's called the Ashanti stool. So I tell you, one of the reasons why I find that highly significant to note is that we have that in Israelite culture. We have something known as the seat of Moses, which represents the intellectual seat that's occupied by the smartest person among our people. And again, that speaks volumes about the Pharisees, because you just read in Matthew 23 that Jesus said that the Pharisees and the scribes sit in that seat. Oh yeah, and by the way, the Pharisees and the scribes are the ones that gave us the oral tradition. And Yeshua said to follow everything that they teach because they sit in the seat of Moses. God damn, y'all look crazy going against the oral tradition. Everything points towards it, but you so biased, so misinformed, and so understudied that you can't even see it. Let me show you what else the Ashanti stool could represent in Israelite culture. I hope you guys are learning in this moment. If you are, throw us a like, share the video. Throw us a like and share the video. If you're learning from this moment in this live, throw up the like button, hit the like button, share the video. I'm going to share with you something else that the Ashanti stool could possibly represent. And when you guys could see my new screen, which I believe you can now, we're going to go all the way in. Okay, so boom, here we go. There's also something known in the synagogue as the Kisei Shel Eliyahu. That's the Kisei Shel Eliyahu. Kisei in Hebrew means throne or chair, Shel of in Aramaic, and then Eliyahu. So Kisei Shel Eliyahu means the throne of Elijah or the seat of Elijah. Most Israelites don't have a clue on what that is. You know why? Because most Israelites don't study our oral tradition. That's why we out here still talking about Esau. That's why we out here still saying shalom and not shalom. That's why we out here abusing the language. That's why brothers is out here abusing the sisters. Because education and action go in concert. Your action can't be righteous and you got poor education. Hello. The chair of Elijah is a special chair placed at the right of the godfather at the circumcision ceremony and left unoccupied. The chair is symbolically meant for Elijah the prophet, who was called the angel of the covenant in the book of Malachi chapter 3 verse 1. It is usually richly carved and ornamented with embroideries. The Shulchan Aruch prescribes the reservation of a special chair or seat for Elijah, and the Moreh, the circumciser, refers to it in the opening prayer preceding the circumcision ceremony. He says, "This is the chair of Elijah, blessed be his memory." So now the question is, why is it in the oral tradition there is a chair believed to be occupied by Elijah the prophet during the circumcision? No one ever sits in a chair, by the way, just so we're clear. The chair is symbolic of Elijah, Because in our oral tradition, it teaches that Elijah the prophet is present at every single circumcision since the days of Elijah. Obviously, before Elijah, as in Abraham, Jacob, David, there was no chair of Elijah. But from the moment that Elijah came on the world scene in history, there was something known as the chair of Elijah placed in the synagogue that our oral tradition taught Elijah the prophet is in attendance for every single circumcision. The question is, where is the source of this oral tradition teaching and what is its symbolic meaning? So watch this. This is the chair of Elijah, blessed be his memory. The chair is also mentioned in the special piyut for circumcision when the rite is performed on the Sabbath. Midrashic literature, which is the oral tradition, links the custom to Elijah's complaint to God. Listen to this. Literature in the Midrash, the Midrashim or the oral tradition, links the custom of Elijah's chair to Elijah's complaint to God that the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, which is a reference to us no longer practicing the covenant of circumcision. This is in the book of 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 10 and 14. Elijah the prophet begins to complain to the Creator because of what he sees. He not only sees the children of Israel forsaking their righteousness, but he even sees them forsaking the sign of the covenant, meaning slowly but surely he's noticing that Israelites stop practicing circumcision in his era. So he makes a complaint to the Creator. Now listen to this. According to the homiletic interpretation of this verse, Elijah complained that the Israelite people had disregarded the commandment of circumcision. Elijah complained that the people had completely disregarded the commandment of circumcision, and God is said to have replied, because of your excessive zeal for me, you have brought charges against Israel that they have forsaken my covenant. Therefore, you shall have to be present at every circumcision ceremony. And that is the origin and the source for what we call the Kisei Shel Eliyahu, which is the seat of Elijah. And let me just show you what that looks like before I finish reading that out. Let me get a nice clear image of it that I could read for you guys. Seat of Elijah, prophet. All right, boom. All right, here we go. Let me get a nice big blow up because I want to be able to read the words on it so you guys can see for yourself. Let me see. Let's see, one. All right, I got one for you. Let me blow this up nice and big. Okay. Inside every synagogue is what is called the Kisei Shel Eliyahu. And let me show you what it looks like. In contrast to the seat of Moses, which represented the intellectual seat, the highest seat in a synagogue that the wisest and smartest person can sit in contrast to that is what we call Kisei Shel Eliyahu, which is the seat of Elijah. This seat is never sat in. Every time you look at it, it's going to look like it was freshly vacuumed. I know for a fact because I've been to several synagogues where I've seen it. Every time you look at it, it's going to look like the seat is freshly vacuumed. Nobody ever sits on it because the intent is not that any of us sit on it. The intent is that we believe that the prophet Elijah sits in it and is in attendance at every single circumcision. So then, this then adds layers, as I was trying to point out earlier, to what is described as the Ashanti stool. This then adds layers to what I was pointing out earlier to what is called the Ashanti stool. right? Which I'm going to show you right. Okay, this adds layers, quote unquote, to the Ashanti stool. The stool of the Ashanti is sat by the king or the priest. The king is the intellectual head of the people. Never forget that. Which is why in biblical Hebrew, the word for king is spelled Mem, Lamed, Kaf. And if you're writing it, Kaf Sufit. Mem, Lamed, Kaf. The letter Lamed, which is in the middle, literally means learning or teaching. To say learn or teach in Hebrew is Lamed. And that's the second letter in the word for king, spelled Melech. You have the letter Lamed in the middle, which means learn or teach. The two letters at extreme ends, the letter Mem, which begins it, and the letter Kaf, which ends it, are also significant as well. Kaf represents the palm of the hand, which represents something that a person can grasp. And Mem in Hebrew denotes water, or i.e. wisdom. So the word for king in Hebrew is composed of the ideas of wisdom, represented by the letter Mem, learning and teaching, represented by the letter Lamed, and one's ability to grasp wisdom so as to be able to teach it, represented by the letter Kaf, which in Hebrew means the palm of one's hand. So the Hebrew word for king is literally a picture, as it were, of the idea of a king. A king is supposed to be the intellectual head of the people. And a priest is the spiritual head of a people. So again, the Ashanti stool is highly significant in Israelite culture because in Israelite culture, we have what's called the seat of Moses, which the only person that can actually sit in that seat is the most intellectual from among our people. Then we have something called the seat of Elijah, which is a seat which is symbolically placed inside every synagogue around the world, because in our old tradition, it is believed, it is taught that Elijah the prophet himself is in attendance at every single circumcision. So in light of what the Ashanti stool signifies, our oral tradition adds layers to it, or adds context to it, by showing you that the source of that practice may have ancient biblical Hebrew roots. Which again makes for an amazing conversation and an amazing dialogue. I got about 2 to 3 more lives that I'm going to be doing this week on Hebrewisms of West Africa. The Ashanti people are mainly people who come from the Gold Coast, right? The Ashanti are mainly to be found in Ghana. The Ashanti are mainly to be found in Ghana, which is in West Africa. The Ashanti have some very, very close relationship with the children of Israel in terms of culture, very, very close cultural relationships, because the Ashanti practice a 7-day rest, which we call in biblical Hebrew the Shabbat, or the Sabbath. The Ashanti also practice the eating of clean meats as distinguished from unclean meats. The Ashanti also practice the idea of cleaning the meat and making sure that the blood is drained from an animal before the animal is consumed and eaten, which follows in suit with biblical law, practice, and tradition. The Ashanti also practice what is known as, and let me show you guys this for a second. Where is my phone? The Ashanti also practice what is known as the the circumcision of the male child. In fact, let me drop a rare gem on you guys right now in this moment. Watch this. I'm going to take away everything on the screen except for what I need. And I'm going to show you a very rare jewel that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Give me a couple seconds to pull that up. And once I have it loaded, I'll show it on the screen. This is a powerful, powerful conversation. Watch this. So I'm about to show you guys a graph of circumcision around the world. And the surprise of many people, when they see it for the first time, it's literally like, oh shit, say word. Because watch this. Watch this. The question that I asked is, where in the world, and let me show you the question. Let me go on Google so you can see the question. Can everybody see the question? The question I asked in Google, I want everybody to look at the screen. The question I asked Google is, where in the world are most people circumcising or practicing circumcision? Where in the world are most people practicing? And let me know what, let me, since I did have that, I was typing that fast. Where in the world are most people, let me just write circumcised? Where in the world are most people circumcised? And y'all all see the question. The question is, where in the world are most people circumcised? That's the question. Now look at the answer. You can't unsee it. Watch this. You saw the question. Now look at the answer. All you have to do is go on Google and type in, where in the world are most people circumcised? And watch as you're about to drop your jaw. Because ain't nobody getting circumcised in Europe. Woo! The shaded area represents the areas of the world where you find most people circumcised. And as you can see, all of Europe is white. The dark purple area represents the area where most people are being circumcised. And if you look real closely on the screen, you'll notice that most people are getting circumcised around or near West Africa. Y'all better start showing y'all love. Thumb up the video and share the live. Because how many people are actually doing this? Thumb up the video, guys, and share the live. Because all you got to do is go on Google, as they say, and type in, where in the world are most people circumcised? And the only reason why you see 71% in America is because black people in America are no longer the minority. We are the majority, and we're getting our children circumcised. Powerful, powerful thing to behold. Very, very powerful thing to behold. So this is common sense, y'all. The place in the world where most people are getting circumcised is none other than West Africa. The highest numbers of circumcision around the globe is in West Africa. You know, the place where you can find the majority of blacks calling themselves Jews. You know, that place in the world that has more black Jews than even America and the Caribbean, more people calling themselves black Jews. No matter how much they try to fight against our narrative, no matter how much they try to change and reshape the narrative, one thing that they cannot do is fold the words of the Creator. What the Creator set forth and spoke will certainly follow through and be fulfilled. We are the children of Israel, and we are coming back, ready or not. Shalom.
Still haven't tried the Locklicious all natural hair care product line? Well, let's hear what the Lock community has to say about it.
I love how it sprays and how it fills, you guys. Like, it feels so good. And it smells amazing, you guys.
The Lock and Twist moisturizer was really good for me. The hydration mist was phenomenal.
This is bomb, baby. I was really impressed, kind of blown away, and I think that if you're struggling, definitely go check them out.
And check out the 5-star reviews on our website. So, what are you waiting for? Go to locklicious.com to start treating your crown like royalty.
Being said, guys, if you enjoyed today's live, make sure you thumb up the video. Make sure you share the live. Also, remember, family, send the platform a donation. That's how we keep this thing growing. Please remember to send a donation. You can hit us at Cash App, $Zion Lexx. You can also hit me at PayPal at zionlex@gmail.com. PayPal at zionlex@gmail.com. Do remember, we still have our Hebrew classes that are going on, our Aramaic classes, our Middle Nature classes, our Torah classes, and even our Kabbalah classes. With that being said, guys, as always, I hope that you enjoyed the sentiments that were shared. We will be back as the week continues with several more lectures. Hebrewisms of West Africa. We ain't letting up. Foot on neck season.
I wash my natural hair and my face with the same product because natural hair care is easy. Natural skin care is easy. Don't make it hard.
If you want to have a better view on how the Bible looks at women in its proper context, then you should get these two books. Matriarchs of the Covenant, written by Abdil Ben Levi, popularly known as Zion Lexx. This is a masterpiece.